Hello and welcome to my review of the Death Guard Blightspawn. This little model will cost you £15. I think it's an okay price. Just zoom out a little bit. For a monopose plastic miniature, you can't really pose him at all, but definitely better than the sort of £22.50 that Games Workshop have been asking for all the Primaris single monopose miniatures. The attention to detail on this plastic miniature is just incredible. There's so many things going on, almost what you'd expect with like a resin miniature. You've got everything from chainmail to heads to cracked armor with more depth and detail in there, with cogs that are part of this harness for this malignant churn. He's got his own description in the codex. Basically, there's a mixture in this churn. With a gurgling surge, a fountain of stinking slime engulfs the enemy, and flesh melts like wax. I just thought I'd leave you with that image. So yeah, this guy, I mean, wow. He's even got this little sort of nurgling familiar kind of creature. Nothing stopping you from putting him on a base as his own, or even putting him on a different Death Guard model's base, such as the champion, and then putting the champion's little nurgling with the helmet on this guy. You don't even need to add him onto the model at all. Do like the sort of face plate. It's sort of merged. It's sort of one with his head now. You got these sort of like they're sort of like googly eye type grenades, like a blind grenade, I think it is. And then all of this part of this churn and this stabilizer and all this pus-filled sort of sack and tubing and the hose, and then it's splurging out of the nozzle at the tip. Yeah, I mean, the attention to detail is great with this one, and you can paint this half full to the brim, however, whatever you fancy. So what I'll do now is I'll just go through some size comparisons. So he comes on this sort of 40mm base, which is a Terminator base, so he will stand out. He is an elite choice in your army, but compared to little Poxwalker, so there he is with the Poxwalker, so he does tower above him, compared to a Primaris Space Marine. Yeah, Primaris Space Marine is probably about the same height, but then you've got all of the churn, which makes it larger. Next to a normal Death Guard. Well, obviously the base is bigger, and he's got more of a presence. He's quite thick. But yeah, I'd say he's probably just a little bit taller overall. But yeah, he's definitely going to stand out. And then next to a Terminator. It's probably equal footings on the Terminator, sort of thickness wise, which is interesting. So yeah, that's all the little size comparisons I wanted to do for him. What I'll do now is I'll just go through all the rules. So yeah, you will find him in the elite section of your Death Guard codex for a power level of 4. His movement is 5 inches, his weapon skill and resist skill are 3+, his strength is 4, toughness 5, 4 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 8, and a save of 3+. So it's nice that he's got that toughness 5. He's got exactly the same stat line as the Noxious Blightbringer and the Plague Surgeon, so if that's a reference to you. He's armed with a Plague Sprayer, Blight Grenades, and Crack Grenades. The Plague Sprayer, this awesome looking weapon thing, is a range of 9 inches, so it's quite a short range, but it's assault d6, strength is 2d6, which is incredible, AP is -3, so that's quite decent, and a damage is 3. So it's a pretty decent weapon to have up to 6 shots of up to 12 strength with an AP of 3 and then damage 3 on top of that. It's also a plague weapon, and this is one of the I say new things. It's in the codex as a specific like ability, but a plague weapon, you can re-roll wound rolls of 1 for the weapon. So even if you get like a if you don't do well and you get like a strength 4 or strength 5 and you don't manage to wound, or even if you get high strength and you get the 1s, you can re-roll them. So getting sort of 6 on 2d6 is quite possible. You're going to be wounding on 2s anyway with AP 3. So very, very decent, although short range. You can also roll to determine the strength of this weapon after selecting a target, but before determining how many shots are fired. So that's interesting. So you can sort of imagine him twisting the nozzles and, you know, the whatever to get the most potent mixture of this foul slime. And then when he flips the and then when he pulls the trigger, it's almost like when you use your hose in your garden and you haven't used it for a while, and you pull your trigger and it's on a completely different nozzle setting, and it just fires in intermittent bursts rather than a full, solid, healthy stream, if you get where I'm coming from. So that sort of makes sense, and I like their attention to detail in that regard. Blight grenades, range 6 inches, grenade D6, strength 3, damage 1, but again, plague weapon, and you probably need it for strength 3. Then he's got the crack grenades, which is strength 6 and damage D3. The other abilities he has is Death to the False Emperor, which means every time you roll a hit roll of a 6+ in the fight phase, when it's targeting an Imperium unit, you can make an extra attack. And then they can't make additional attacks. You just get an extra attack. So that's quite decent, I suppose. And disgustingly resilient. Most of the models in here have disgustingly resilient, but basically whenever it loses a wound, and remember it's got 4, and it has the save of 3+, on a 5+, the model doesn't lose that wound. He has the ability Unholy Death's Head. A little bit like a holy hand grenade, I suppose. Each foul Blightspawn carries a single Unholy Death's Head grenade. Once per battle, a foul Blightspawn or another friendly Death Guard character within 3 inches of him can throw an Unholy Death's Head grenade instead of either a Blight grenade or a Hyper Blight grenade. When they do so, change that weapon's type to grenade 2d6. Ooh, ouch. Grenade 2d6, so you're just getting an extra D6 there, so throw the grenade and that has a potential of, you know, causing 12 hits in total. That's pretty awesome. I like the fact that it's another friendly Death Guard character within 3 inches of him, so it's almost like a hot potato scenario where he throws this Unholy Death's Head grenade to them and then they lob it. Revolting Stench. Enemy units that charged this turn and are within 7 inches. That's a pretty big stench. Of this model at the start of the fight phase are struck by a stench so foul that they falter, losing their impetus. That's like their focus, basically, and resolve. Such a unit does not get to fight first in the fight phase, but can be chosen to fight like other units that did not charge. This ability also affects units who have abilities that would enable them to fight first as if they charged. Oh wow, so that's quite debilitating, this Revolting Stench. That's really going to have an effect if you have this guy and you want to, and then your enemy wants to charge. It's just charge within 7 inches. So I would have thought that's any enemy units wanting to charge your enemy units and they end up within 7 inches of him. That's okay, that's like an area effect kind of thing. That's pretty awesome. So the real star of the show in all this is, I do like that Death's Head grenade, an extra D6, but I think the real star of the show is this Plague Sprayer. I think it's an incredible weapon. It's got the potential of having high damage. It's got a decent AP, and it's got a good chance of getting your 3 damage, your 2 or your 3 damage. So yeah, a very nice, useful addition to the army. And I just have got this image of him showering the enemy in this awful toxic goop, and this cloud of like awful smelling stench and stuff around him. I've just got that image now, and you know, flesh melting like wax. I can't get that out of my... if you've seen Indiana Jones, well, there we go. And I think that's all I really wanted to say about this foul Blightspawn. So what do you guys think of him? Please do put your comments below. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.